We are live. Hey, everybody. We're early today because of the DNC. Let's see. Let's see if we're coming up. Good afternoon. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Yeah, I hear the echo. I don't know why, though. Robbie's like, you hear the echo? I'm not going to talk much. Let's see if we have people coming into the room. I know people are like, they are early. We're going to share it to my page and share it to Marietta's page.
Cool.
Yes.
Hey, John Christopher.
The people are coming in. Yes. Good evening. Good evening. It's early. How you doing today, Marietta SImpson?
You know I'm fine. I can't complain. I told you I could, but don't nobody want to hear it.
Exactly. Oh, so you have a private page. I can't even share it to your page.
Oh, you know what?
That's okay.
You need the windows closed or anything?
Yeah, you can close the windows.
Promise?
Yes. Got my sound team in the back there.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yes. Good evening. Good evening. What you do today, Marietta?
Well, today was one of those.
It's too bright.
We're the week before classes, so exams, meetings, all of that, the glamorous stuff.
The glamorous stuff. And you are
Yes.
in Indiana.
I'm in Bloomington, Indiana. That's right.
Wow. Yep, she teaches at IU. Professor. Probably in the background. Y'all gonna need my glasses on. Hey, John Christopher. Hey, Dylan.
Here, like
Please. Sam Martin. Hey, Daryl Taylor. Yes.
Hey.
Good evening, everybody. Well, I have to say this. It is an honor, and I told you this earlier, Marietta. It is an honor and a privilege to speak to you as a fellow Philadelphian, as a woman, as a Black woman who aspired to be like you, to be a professional classical artist and opera singer. I mean, I remember, and I'm not gonna tear up. I said I wasn't gonna tear up. I remember being a 14 or 15 years old, and Donald Dumpson took me to your recital. I think you were giving a recital at it may be in Mount Airy, one of the churches or something.
Okay.
And I I was like, I had no idea what I was listening to, of course, but I knew it was incredible, and I knew I wanted to do that. I think I was maybe a freshman or sophomore at Kappa, and to see you up there singing all those song after song, and German and Italian, and to sing spirituals and to sing it really it changed me. It made me feel like, wow, well, if this lady can do it, it just made it possible. And then to of course, later on see Denise Grace on the stage and hear Jesse Norman. And I just want to thank you for for living your dream so that it made it possible for me to believe that I can live mine. And I just thank you so much. And if I never get the chance to, if you have never told you and I ever get the chance to tell you again, I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that. And yeah, you're my Philadelphia sister, and I'm just so happy. So please, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all that you do, all that you've done, all that you've given to us as an industry, as a culture, total Black excellence all the way through. And please tell the people where you're from and how your family and how you came to music.
Well, first of all, that was really unfair of you to say that, because now, of course, all I want to do is just walk away from this camera and bawl, okay?
I
because
meant every
I
single
am
word
a
of it.
crier from the word go. So that is very touching to me. So thank you very much.
Mhm.
Uh, I am. Uh, you know this, but I come from a really big family. And when I tell you in that context, I feel like I am absolutely the least of these because I'm the younger sister. You can't tell by this white hair, but my family means the world to me because that is where I went to school. My late sister she was next to the oldest. She was a trendsetter. She kind of took the bumps for all of us.
Mhm.
She was a glamorous one. We grew up in the church, and at that time, women in the church didn't wear makeup and didn't wear a lot of jewelry, and that was not equated with being sanctified or being holy or being righteous. And
Mhm.
so the fact that she did that, there was always a look to the side, and there was always the comparison to Jezebel and all of that she had to live through. And then she wanted to be a classical singer. The good thing for us is that my parents loved classical music. So it was always in our house. That was the music that we listened to. So it wasn't different for us to hear Aida playing in the house
Mhm.
because my parents liked that. And my father always used to tell us about when he was coming into assembly when he was a kid, that's what they played for them to come into the assembly when he was in school. And my mother's favorite aria was Pace. Now, so,
Of course.
that's kind of the music that we grew up on. And then they also like jazz. My father loved jazz and used to play jazz before he got saved. So after
Mhm.
that, he didn't do it, but he still loved jazz secretly. So music was just a part of our lives. And so that was my life, and we sang together. And my sister Evelyn, who a lot of people know through her compositions and her her playing and all of that around the country,
Mhm.
those Evelyn and Joy, my late sister Joy, they were the stars, in my family, and I was the younger sister, always looking up to them. So the fact that I get to do this and I've gotten to do this over the years has just, I don't want to say it surprised me. I knew I wanted to do this, but
Mhm.
I certainly growing up wasn't the one, that
Mhm.
had all the attention. I always did it, but I never thought that I would be the one that got to do this for a living. So,
Right. I mean, I've gotten to sing your sister Evelyn's compositions and work with her and work with your niece.
yes, exactly.
Yes, we did a
Yeah.
recital together, flute soprano, and that was amazing. And I would love to do more of those. She's
Listen,
incredible,
my
Julie.
niece she's a beast, right?
She's a beast, and she's
She's a
serious. She
beast.
don't play. Because
Oh, and
her
my sister's a
rehearsal
beast
where
too,
I
right?
didn't have my stuff together, and she was like,
Trust me. Listen, I've worked with her and she's like, "Are you going to do that?" I was like, "Well, maybe. I don't know, right?"
"Yeah." She gave me a look, and I was like, all right, let me pull it together. Let me get it
I
together.
know.
Shout out, Julie.
Yes, love Julie.
Yes. Yes, that's my girl. Yep.
Yes.
So you grow up in this musical family with these like powerhouse sisters, and no one thought that you were going to be the one that went on the international stages. Like, what? How was the reaction from your family?
Well, I will tell you, Nicole, girl. My I will tell you this. When I was going to undergraduate school, I went in as an instrumental music major
Mhm.
and an instrumental music ed major. And I
Mm.
was really adamant about that. And my sister Joy and my sister Joy in particular was like, "That's not what you're going to do with your life." And I was adamant that, "Oh, yes, I am, because we need great music teachers," because I always had really great music teachers.
Right.
And she was like, "No, that's not what you're going to do." you really need to be a performance major. And I was like, I don't want to be a performance major, and that really is all about, when I look back at that,
Mm,
it was about me trying to have my own identity,
right.
and not always hearing, are you so and so's sister? Um, but, she saw something in me, and that happens, people see something in you you don't see in yourself.
Right.
Um, and, I went through undergrad school, did my student teaching, and that's when I realized, I don't think this is what I'm going to do.
Right. That's so teaching is a whole
So,
other ministry, isn't it?
I think student teaching is a fabulous thing,
Hmm.
because it gives you an opportunity to spend some time doing that thing that you think you want to do. And I think that it achieved its purpose in my life. I
Hmm.
love teachers. I think what I got from my teachers through elementary and junior high school and high school, they were some of the most incredible people that I've ever met in my life. And they were so inspirational.
Hmm.
Their love of music and what they gave to me, from elementary through high school, I can name each and every one of them and what they gave to me. So I
Amazing.
knew I was not going to do that for somebody after my student teaching.
Yeah, you start putting it together, and it's like,
Mm-mm,
no,
that's not
mm-mm.
going to be me.
I know that's right. It's acknowledging it early enough to get
Yes.
out of it fast
Get
enough,
out of it.
right?
Yes,
Hmm.
exactly.
Yeah. Where'd you go to high school and where'd you go to college?
I went to the Philadelphia High School for Girls.
Okay, girl
Rolling
pie.
on me.
Oh, I know I got some girls high friends. It's on Facebook.
Yes, yes, yes. And then I went to Temple University.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. You were just
Uh-huh.
all the way Philly.
All the way Philly. And then I went to
Yeah.
SUNY Binghamton,
Uh-huh.
Tri-Cities Opera. And then after I finished with Tri-Cities, I went to the Houston Grand Opera program.
Yeah. Oh wow. Wow. Was it still
Yeah.
called, what is the program called? The
Tri-Cities Opera.
no, Houston Grand
Oh,
Opera.
Houston Grand
With
Opera.
the studio. The
The
studio
studio. Yeah.
program.
Hmm.
Okay. What was that like?
Uh, it was great. It really, I mean, it was the early years when there weren't that many young artist programs.
Right.
So I remember taking the bus in from the airport. I rode the bus in with Richard Paul Fink. We
Wow.
were in the studio together. And that weekend, the weekend of the audition, Cheryl Milnes was giving a recital. And it was a great recital. I remember that his encore, he and his accompanist switched places, and he played for his accompanist. And his accompanist
Mhm.
sang Oliver Cromwell, and Cheryl Milnes played. It was really cute. It was a great weekend. And and so I left there, and then got the notice that I had been accepted, because they didn't tell you then. You got the notice later
Oh,
at that
okay.
time,
Hmm.
and got the notice that I was in the studio, and I came back for the studio that fall. That fall they did Akhenaten.
Oh,
It was,
wow.
oh yes, I'm old, y'all.
I didn't mean, oh wow, like that. I meant,
Yeah, but it's oh wow.
okay.
Richard Beto and I were in the studio at the same time. So this was way before he was the chorus master. And the Perry brothers,
Hmm.
Eugene was in with me. I mean, it was a great experience. It really was.
Oh my God, y'all had a powerhouse class.
Those were fun times. Of
Wow.
course, they were hard times, but you look back at them, of course, through the prism of time, and oh, it was glorious. Yeah, I mean, not all of it was glorious, but it was a great experience. Yeah,
Oh yeah. Shoot, I
yeah.
remember being in the Adler Fellowship in San Francisco, counting down the date, like crossing the days off where I was like off a contract. I was like, another day down, another day down, like a cat in a cage. Even in school, I was like,
Right.
get me out of here. Like now I'm like free lessons, free coaching, free,
Hello. Hello.
didn't even know,
No. Yeah, we had great music staff. Craig Rutenberg was on the staff then, and Gene Mallandane. I mean, just terrific people. Every place, at every time in your life, and you're bemoaning your state and woe is me and all of that, and you look back at it and you think, you know what, I was really fortunate, I was really
Yes.
blessed, I had those experiences, I was in that house with those people, and you think about the people that you connected with and all of that, and it's like,
Mhm.
really, that was my life. Pretty
Wow.
amazing.
Pretty
Yeah.
amazing. What was some
Yeah.
of the great artists and conductors you got to hear and directors maybe you got to work with back then?
I met Francesca Zambello there
Before she was
when she was like traveling around in the beginnings of her career, which was amazing. She came and did a master class for the young artist there. I'll never forget it. Julius Rudel,
yeah.
James Morris did his first Dutchman. I'm telling you, in my day.
Listen, we need to hear those stories. Like people
I
think they
mean, and it's
know.
funny because I've spent so much of my life doing concert work that I don't even think about having operatic stories like that.
Yes.
But yeah, and I sang Frau Mari, and Julius Rudel was the conductor. It was amazing.
Wow.
Frank Lepardo was
Mhm.
singing Magic Flute. It was some of the most beautiful singing I've ever heard in my life. I mean, he was really just stunning.
Mhm.
Um, they were just Morella Franey doing Eugene Onegin.
One of her
I
signature
mean,
roles.
it was really great. And one of the great all time stories, Franey was doing a master. It's not like if when I tell it, you'll see. Well, that is not really a great story, but uh, Franey was doing a master class. Wolfgang Brendel, who was also in the Eugene Onegin with her, she was doing the master class. It was her first public like master class with young singers. I was singing on the class. I was singing O Mio Fernando.
Mhm.
It was one of those master classes where the person giving the class is like, how you're in a master class and they're going note by note by note.
Mhm.
And the more they're doing that, the more your throat is closing up.
Right.
And the more you are just like, oh my God, can I please just sit down? Right.
Yes.
And so by the end of it, and you're standing there like, you know,
Wanting to die right there. Yes.
please, can the floor just open up, right?
Yep.
And so she said, "Hey, Jill," and she said something to him, and he said, Mirella, that is a great voice, and I hope one day that we sing together, right? And fast forward, maybe I don't even know if it was 10 years ago, something like that. He interviewed for the job at Indiana, and I was on the search committee.
Wow. See
Right?
how it works sometimes? I tell the kids, you never know who's gonna get you that job.
Listen, I was like, wow, you know?
Yes.
So, and I told that story, and I was like, you know what? That I will never forget that, because what's important to me as an artist and as a person, just as a person, I think it's really, really important to be kind to people who can give you nothing,
Mm.
you know? Because the way this business works, you don't know when you're going to see somebody again, And I have been picked up at the airport. This is no lie. Picked up at the airport by somebody who's running the company a few years later. So that business of being mean and nasty and dismissive of people, I think never, ever, ever pays off.
Nope,
Never.
it never does.
Mm-mm.
I say that I came across Facebook often shows you posts that you've made in the past or whatever. And the other day something must have happened. I must have been treated poorly or something that day. And I said, when I'm in charge of something, when the company, one day, I promise to treat everyone like they're the most important person in the space,
Right.
everybody. And it must have
Right.
been because of something, and I believe that. I believe
Yeah.
that,
Yep.
not because like, oh, I think that someone's going to hire me later or give me
No,
because that's the right thing to do.
exactly. Yep. That great philosopher Layla Hathaway said, always remember, my friend.
Yes, always remember, exactly. And then this
Yes,
time of COVID,
things are
honey,
changing,
when it's all over, you don't know what's gonna happen.
Hello, 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 hello.
You just
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
But so you're in Houston Grand Opera Studio, which is incredible. You're around all these amazing artists, around all this incredible art. What happens next for you? Because that no one ever talks about really the journey from being a young artist, particularly when you're in the big young artist programs.
Hmm.
There's so many levels to how the career,
Right,
proceeds. And we only
right,
hear about the biggies, right?
right. So what happened next for me is while I was ending that program, I got an audition for the Glyndebourne Porgy and Bess.
Hmm. Historic
And
Porgy,
so,
yes, that group.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
that happened, got that part, but then found out I was pregnant. And
Mm.
so, big emotional turmoil. Oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Right.
Right.
And, I thought, well, I'll get, well, we'll just get married. Right. And then that turned out that that wasn't the right thing to do. And so then it was, and I don't mean to make myself sound like Mother Teresa because I'm not.
Mhm.
But I knew that that was not the right decision. It wasn't going to be the right decision for either one of us. And
Right.
so, um, one of the great stories of my life is my family. And my family kind of stepped in and said, you know, we think we can support you as a single mom. And so that's what they did.
Wow.
And so I was able to have a career as a single mom and
And do the thing
and
and
do
have
this thing.
yes, and have your family the support and the security. Because some
Yes,
crazy folks out there, you just can't leave your kids with anybody.
you really cannot. And so what happened is I went to England that first year pregnant, did did Glyndebourne, came back, and what had happened is I got a call before I left. They were doing a production of X at City Opera,
Hmm.
and they had asked if I could be a part of that as an understudy. And at that time, I was like, no,
Hmm.
And the reason why had nothing to do with the person who was doing it. It was that, and here's the honest to goodness truth. The person who was doing it was fabulous. They were incredible, and I didn't think my ego was strong enough to take it. So I
Mm.
was like, I don't think I can do it.
Yeah.
So, and then I was pregnant, and I was like, yeah, that's fine.
Right.
I came back from Glyndebourne. The person had to pull out, and they asked if I could do it. I said, I will be, by the time this is done, 8 months pregnant. So
Mhm.
I don't know if you would still want me to do it. So they said, well, can you come in and meet Beverly Sills? She wants to have a look at you and see what she thinks.
Right.
So I came, I drove up to New
That
York.
sounded crazy, right?
It sounds totally crazy, right? But I went in to, to New York, right?
We get it, but it just sounded like,
Yeah, and she's sitting behind her desk with her glasses on, and she said, "Hello, hello." She looks at me and she said, "Oh, you'll be fine." And so
uh-huh.
I drove back and forth to New York with my dear friend Kevin Short,
Mm.
and Kevin would drive back and forth to New York. When I was, by the end of it, I was like 8 months pregnant. And we were doing Malcolm X at City Opera.
Wow.
And that cast of people, Ben Holt and Priscilla Baskerville and
Mhm.
Tom Young, I mean, Raymond Bazemore, I mean, the most incredible people. Anthony Davis is Malcolm X. And being on the stage with Ben Holt and Tom Young and all of these, it was like you were on the stage with Malcolm X and Elijah
Wow.
Muhammad.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty fabulous.
Yeah, these are
So
names
that
that we need
was,
to hear. We need to know.
yeah, it was pretty amazing. And so that was right before I had my daughter in December. I was supposed to do a Messiah, but had to cancel it. And you know how we are. We got a job. We try to make it to the last minute. I was trying to figure out if I. It was like you gotta cancel that Messiah.
Yes, right. You're like, wait a minute, if I just
But
do
when
this.
she was like 2.5 weeks old, then I went and did an Italian Girl
Mhm.
up in Binghamton, and my sister watched her while I was there, and then they brought her up to be with me. So you do what you got to do
You do what you
when.
got to do so that you can
Yeah,
do what you want to do. You do what you have to do.
that's exactly right. That's
Yes.
exactly right.
And I
So that's
mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, 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 no. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that's, and during the time that you were a new mom, it's not like it is now or presently where people have these huge families and they bring their whole families with them. And when you're in this career, particularly for women, I remember people telling me don't have children. Don't, it's just gonna, it's got, you're gonna have a big career. You don't have
Right.
time for that. I mean, I never had kids because I didn't really want to have children, but there was a part of me in my mind that said, maybe I shouldn't because somebody's not going to hire me because I have a kid.
Right. 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 I totally get that. We spend so much time judging ourselves for so many things,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Do you have kids? Don't you have kids? If you have kids, if you leave them, are you a bad mom? If you stay with them, are you a good? It's so many things. You have to cut yourself a break, right?
Yeah.
When my family traveled, because they traveled every weekend when we were young, singing, and my brother and I would sit on the couch crying, right? And we used to tell our mother, when we get older, we're never going to leave our kids. Are you, Joseph? No, no. We would cut up. Do you hear me? Trying to make our parents feel guilty about that, right?
Uh-huh.
So the fact that I became a mom, right, and I had to leave my child, my mother would just every now and then go, you know.
Right. Exactly. The joke's on you, kid. Right.
Hello. But I will say this, that they did everything they could to help me. My mother did that. My daughter's paternal grandmother did that.
Mhm.
Even though her son and I were not together, they stepped in to really help me. You talk about a village. I had a tremendous village of family and loved ones to help me with my daughter. So I have no complaint about that. I will tell you that does not necessarily take away your guilt
Of course.
for all of that. And I certainly have had to have a million and one conversations with myself,
Hmm.
and certainly have apologized to my daughter a million times, who is a great mom and is
Yeah.
grown and all that and has her own kids and all that. And she's like, Mom, really get over it. Okay. But,
Right. It's
you
more
know,
about you feeling.
yes.
Yeah.
And please, I'm a singer. It's all about me,
Yeah.
So,
Of course. Don't you know?
come on,
Right. Yeah, that's another part to
But
talk about, that whole thing in your head that
yes, the
you
voices in your head.
Mhm.
It's like, even though she's saying, I'm okay,
Mhm.
it's that thing. You want to be there to bake the cookies, to be there for everything. And I know moms who and I see the post from female singers on Facebook.
Yeah,
They're going out of town and they have cooked 2,500 meals in the freezer before they go and have labeled them, you know,
happily
and
grandma.
have labeled all the outfits and all.
Mhm.
I get it. I totally get that. My
Yeah.
daughter's prom, her outfits were in the closet,
Wow.
and all of
Mhm.
that. I totally get all that.
Right.
So
But you
we
did a
do what
good
we have to do.
job. You do what you have to do,
Yeah.
you get it. You did an amazing job, and you also gave us your gift, your beautiful gift as an audience, and I mean, we're thankful that it all worked out. It
You
all
hope
worked.
and pray it all works out.
Oh no, we talked about that earlier. I was like, "Good Lord!" Like you just get in there and you just go, "Okay, I'm just gonna do my best, do the best, do
Yeah,
the
that's
thing."
that's that's it, really. In the
Hmm.
end, you hope to do that. You've done your best.
Yes, absolutely. So a lot of us know you for all of your amazing recordings, your immense concert career. Please talk about how, did you want to sing more opera, or or was that the career, the incredible career that you had, was that is what you dreamt of?
Truthfully, when people asked me, as a younger singer, what would you like to do? I can remember very distinctly Tom Allen, the English baritone, came to
Mhm.
Houston, went around the circle and said, "What would you like to do?" And I said, "I would like to have a concert career." And he said, "Yeah, good luck, wouldn't we all?" you know,
Right. Yeah.
you
Hmm.
know? And so I have no complaint about the career that I've had. I have enjoyed, I like the music. Not only do I like it, I love it.
Right.
The first record that I ever had was a record about the life of Bach. RCA had a series about composers. Bach was a composer. And my brother and I, it is so corny, I know, listen to this recording day and night. We could recite the script,
Bach. Okay.
Bach. I know, it's crazy.
It's about, listen, that's an elevated level of thinking, of artistry, of vocalism, all that things that you have to have for Bach. So I'm not, no
Well,
shade over
you
here.
know what it was? It was like this whole, first of all, I thought this was such a cool series for kids because it animated his life, right? In
Hmm.
such a way. It wasn't like a dry reading of his life out of a book.
Hmm.
It used his music as a soundtrack and not tracked. But I put that T
I
on
know we getting
hard,
too
okay?
comfortable. We getting too comfortable, right?
Like I was reading a church bulletin. Um, Good morning, saints. Anyway,
I love it. I love it.
oh my god! But it used his music as a soundtrack, and it was like so exciting. And Bach's whole thing about everything he did was to the glory of God, and I just
Mhm.
thought that was like it's such an incredible thing, right?
Yeah.
And his the way this story was told on the record, his father wanted him to do one thing, and he was like, "I just want to write music and praise God all day long." And his father was like, "Ah!" You know?
What are you doing? There's no money in that. Right.
Oh
Right.
my God! And we just loved it, right? We
Mhm.
played that all day. Now you got to remember that this was at a time when there were like 7 channels on the TV, right?
Right.
So
Of
you
course.
know.
You had to turn it like that.
Hello. It was golf or Bach.
There you
Okay,
go.
definitely getting Bach. All right, Bach and Peter and the Wolf. Thank you
All day.
very much.
You were smart.
So, so I kind of grew up with that. So I I always loved that music. I always
Mhm.
had a real affinity for that. So when I got to sing that, it was a dream come true. And the Messiah
Mhm.
was always playing in our house.
Of course.
So getting to sing with Robert Shaw, my parents meeting him, Fred Waring and the Pennsylvanians, God's trombones, all those old pieces,
Yes.
that was in our house. So, to have a career where I got to do that, sometimes I would sit on stage and literally just cry
Mhm.
because I could not believe I was getting to do that.
Yeah.
So I I I have to say the only time I ever thought about, well, maybe I shouldn't be content doing this if I let another singer get in my ear,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
And I always tell people, don't let your validation about who you are or what you do come from somebody else. You know,
Yes.
if you are content, if success, you write that picture of success for yourself. Don't let somebody else do that,
Yes.
because then you'll never be content in your life. And that is no way to live your life. you
No.
know
No.
you are at peace, you are happy, you have joy in what you do, and here comes somebody else who's not even doing what you're doing, telling you you shouldn't be satisfied with what you have. That is crazy. Okay, so don't let somebody else set your bar for success. you know?
Yes,
If
absolutely.
you're enjoying what you're doing and it's bringing you joy, that's your life. That's not their life, you
Yeah.
know?
Mhm.
So I actually really love what I'm doing. So,
Yeah, I mean, I I envy, the kind of career that you have had in a have had, you know what I mean, in a way,
yeah,
because I feel like now that I know more as a more mature artist, I'm like, God, the collaborations, the experience of standing on that stage or doing recital or in concert with the conductor in this orchestra really is to me always brings me the greatest satisfaction, and it's connected to my heart and my mind in a way, and that the energies in that space to me, it always makes me the most happy. But sometimes I feel like, you're an opera singer, you have to be an opera singer to do, and I've not always gotten to sing the roles yet that I feel like allowed me to have that thing that I get in the concert hall.
right. But listen, you're still doing it, right?
Yes.
So there are still mountains to climb, still dreams to dream, still things to achieve, right?
Yes.
And so it's not over. First of all, what I do realize sometimes um, we can kind of close the coffin, close the curtain, do all that too soon, right? So
Mhm.
there's still more to go for. If you're still having that dream, if you still have that desire, right? You still
Right.
do it
Yes.
until you don't,
Until you don't.
and only you know that.
Exactly. And also you can do it on your own terms. It doesn't
On
always
your
have
own,
to
exactly.
be the way that you've been trained to think, and the way
Yes,
that certain people say it's supposed to be. Just like you said, success means different things for everybody. But it's that tunnel vision training. You know how it is. You
right,
go to the big program, you go to the big schools, and all they tell you is Carnegie Hall, La Scala, Covent Garden, like that. That's the mark. Or working with Robert Shaw, working with
right,
Spinal, working with all these gigantic conduct. Like that's the
right.
only way to
There are
have.
so many different ways. There's so many different ways. And my feeling is that Carnegie Hall, that's a venue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have to be there, right? If your thing of success is that you're not successful unless you get there,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a hollow for I just feel like that's a hollow gauge of success,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um, what I love about this business is number one, the music and the people that you get to make it with,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because for me, most of life is the relationships. Because after like venues burn down, right?
Yeah.
But you can sing and make music anywhere, and you can have relationships anywhere, right?
Yep.
So you can sing Ich bin der Welt anywhere. And that music can still speak to your soul and be transformative in people's lives in a hallway in an old folks' home, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
it's great if there's 70 people playing it with you, but it's also great, honestly and truly, if you were singing it a cappella in a hospital at somebody's bedside,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Because that's what that music is. It's supposed to come from your soul, touch somebody else's soul,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And we are like storytellers, messengers, carriers of that message. And that's what I think is the gift that we have that we give to other people. So I'll be doggone it if I'm going to let somebody tell me if I don't get to do that in Carnegie Hall, I haven't been a success,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And if I don't get to do that with John Monroe, then it hasn't been valid,
Right.
you know?
That's
Because sometimes John Monroe is not the best musician, even if other people say he is,
right.
you know?
Yes.
Because we all know that. We all know there are some people that the world says rah, 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 rah about,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to work with rah, 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 and you like, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And then there are some other things that the world says rah, 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 rah about, and they truly are great.
Yes, it's true. or the
So
ones that people ignore, and you're like, oh my God, you
yes,
can welcome
you're
to
like,
the
oh
room.
my God, why haven't people recognized this?
Yeah, where have
Yes.
you been?
Where have you been?
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Mm.
So then we get back to the thing of not treating people like dirt
Mhm.
and honoring everyone.
Honoring everyone.
Yes.
Yes, that's the truth. There's nothing else you can say about that. And like you said, we're finding out in this time that Corona doesn't care if you were booked solid. She said,
Right.
"Thank
Right.
you."
Right.
She didn't care. They
Right.
don't care that you people singing in their phones and in their living rooms, in their basements, and
Right.
still trying to make that art because they had to.
Right. Because they have something to say.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Because they have something to say and they feel like, I've got to get it out there. I've got to say something.
Yes. Talk
And we've
about
seen
that.
that all across the airwaves,
Yes.
you know,
On every genre and everything.
in every genre.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that. I'm like, well, we talked about this earlier, just like people not being afraid to express, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I mean, I remember when I mean I lost work or whatever, fine, whatever, in the spring and after COVID. Thank God Porgy and Bess, that happened at the Met, and I was, able to pay my bills because I had
Yes. Yes.
worked in that way. But I remember I had done Porgy, went and sang like 4 recitals literally right after Porgy, and I was tired, yes, mentally more than physically, but and I couldn't sing after like COVID happened and
Right.
people were dying, and I couldn't sing.
Yeah.
And then George Floyd was murdered, and I was like, and it like, oh, it snapped me back. But I didn't want to sing opera. I didn't want to
Right.
sing, I went to
Right.
singing like spirituals and
Right.
things like that. That's the things that fed my soul in a way.
Right.
But it wasn't until then that I realized that I had to get back to doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And what's the time been like for you?
Difficult. Difficult. Do not make me bawl on here.
I know.
Difficult. Um, I I haven't. Well, I just recently saw my family. My daughter and her husband came out, so that was great.
Yeah.
My grandchildren mean the world to me, right?
Mhm.
And since they've been born, I've seen them every couple of months because when the bell rings, I go immediately to see them. So
Yeah.
when all of this hit, I hadn't seen them since February. And so fortunately I just saw them.
Mhm.
And what has been hard about it, I think, we're all doing FaceTime. We're all,
Mhm.
you know, um, zooming and doing everything we can to stay as connected as we can.
Mhm.
I think when you have moved through life and accepted all the things we all have to accept, to be the only one in the space,
Mhm.
to tolerate all the things we've all had to tolerate, and I don't have to go into them because we've all lived through them, to be the only one in the spaces that we occupy. Um, what George Floyd did, and Breonna Taylor, and Eric Gardner, and Trayvon Martin,
Mhm.
and all the names, what that did is, for me, made me have to rely on my faith in a way that I've never had to before,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
because I'm a big believer, and I still believe in this, in God's faithfulness, and a big believer in the fact that although we're all different, we're all calling on the same God, right?
Mhm.
And when I see people who are supposed to be calling on the same God that I'm calling on, reacting in very hateful ways and justifying their hate and their ignorance in the same belief system that I think we're all using, that is incredibly difficult to deal with. So that has been difficult.
Yeah.
And so I have to tell you, I've had to pray more. Um, it has made me have to have some conversations in different ways. At one point in time, I'm a big believer in prayer and therapy. Let me just say that. And at one point, I said to the therapist that I was working with, I'm in these meetings and I'm getting so mad and I don't really want to show it. And he was like, why? And I was like, because I don't want to be the angry Black woman in the meeting,
Yes, I
I'm trying to
do.
stay on an even keel and I don't want to be mad up in the meeting. And he's like, so you're trying to shield the very people who have made you angry and who deserve to feel your anger from your anger. And therefore, you would rather internalize that anger than let them see what they have done. And I was like, yeah, pretty much. And I hate it when you say it like that.
Don't be right. Don't be right. I am.
Don't be right. You
Yeah,
make me sick.
exactly.
Okay.
Yes, I know.
So, what I've had to do in recent conversations, because of course, everyone wants you to be the sage, wise Black person, right, in the room. I've had to say, I'm not willing to have this conversation from an intellectual space anymore. If you really want to do something about this is what we need to do, and we need to do it now. I don't want to have this conversation that we've actually been having for the last 10 to 15 years in this way.
Right.
And, when you have conversations like that, you know, um, there's silence in the room.
Of course.
But then it forces everybody else to come to the table more honestly. And then you can actually get more work done.
Yes.
Because then you're not posturing for everybody else in the room. And then everybody else can't go to that place of, well, but the procedure wasn't really correct. I don't care about the procedure. I really don't. And if COVID hasn't done anything else, it has done that. It's let us cut to the chase. I don't want to hear anything about procedure. I don't want to hear anything about, well, this is not the proper way to do it. Get it done. We're not going to spend another 5 years talking about we didn't go through committee A, B, C, D, E. If you say you want this, then this is what we're going to do. And until we are willing to commit resources, really come to the table in truth, I don't want to be a part of the conversation anymore.
Right.
And that's it.
And that's it. Period. Right. Don't bring my phone. Don't ask me to be on another panel. Don't
That's it.
ask me how we're going to do this if you're not really ready to do the work.
Right.
You
I said
know?
all diversity committees should be called Call Me When You're Serious. Other than that, that's it.
That's it. Right. Right. Call me when it's like a student coming to you who says, I want to learn how to sing, but they don't practice, they don't warm up, they don't learn the music. Call me when you're ready to do the work. Otherwise you're wasting my time, you know?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, how is it, listen, you've been in this industry you've seen it change, you've seen it, but maybe have you seen it change? How have you seen it changed?
Say that again, because I turned my sound down so you wouldn't get no echo. And now I'm like,
Okay,
child, I can't lip read.
what is no, I mean, so you've been in this industry for many years. How has it changed? And now that you're in academia, what's that like?
Um, so I have seen about as much change as some of you have seen. I have
Mhm.
seen lots of lip service to change. Seen some companies actually try to do some things, but I have seen the same number of people behind the scenes as you have seen behind the
Mhm.
scenes.
Mhm.
So until we see that, you know,
Mhm.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And in academia, it's the same. We have more offices.
Mhm.
Um, we have more titles, uh,
But do we have
and we have certainly figured out how to label things
uh-huh.
more beautifully. You know, like I told someone I love that term microaggressions, but I said please don't use that term with me because there is no such thing as far as I'm concerned. An aggression is an aggression. There is nothing micro about that.
Right.
And I love how you use that term, right? So that you can have a nice conversation about it. But
Mhm.
when you hurt someone and you're aggressive towards someone, it's only micro to the person who's been aggressive. To the person who feels it, is nothing micro about it,
Not at all. It goes back to
you
that
know?
we're talking about that post that I made. I mean, it was so impactful to me, that thing. I had to go and make a post about it because I was affected.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Mhm. I know I always feel like academia is a whole other issue.
Well, it is because when you can shroud things in intelligence and and intellectualism, it takes it to a whole nother level, which is why I'm so proud of all the Black intellectuals who come to the table and child can wordsmith with the best of them.
Yes.
So you're in a meeting and someone goes down that, the lane of, and I'm going to do blah 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 blah, and then I see my colleagues who can go there. Well, I'm going to speak about the intersectionalities of this and that. That I'm like, well, y'all better go ahead. I'm I'm
Right.
there. What I do in those meetings, and then there's a whole thing of proverbs about when you're quiet, people assume a lot of things. And I
Yes.
find when you're quiet, people assume wisdom until you open your mouth and say something crazy. And then they go, she
Mm.
ain't who I thought she was. So I like to,
Yes, I do.
I like to sit and oftentimes, here's what I find a lot. I find this to be true. Because there's such big units in academia, a lot of times people don't feel heard. So when you get in meetings and all that, people want to talk, 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 talk,
Mhm.
talk, 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 talk,
Mhm.
talk, talk, right?
Right.
And so in those meetings, I very rarely talk. I talk when I have something substantive to say.
Right.
And when you do that, it gives you an aura of wisdom, right?
Yes, yes.
Um, and so um, a lot of times it's not that at least I don't feel like it's not that I have so much wisdom to bestow and to add to the conversation. It's just that people really don't feel heard,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, that's a big problem now.
Yeah, people don't feel heard.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you hear people keep talking until you hear a lot of their biases
Mm.
and you want to say you should have stopped talking 2 sentences ago
Right.
while you still hadn't revealed yourself. And now that you have, we know who you are. Thank you very much. You can't be on that committee anymore,
Yeah.
and you've outed yourself. And yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah.
What brought you to education?
Say what brought
What
me?
brought you to education? Yeah.
My daughter was older. I always knew that I would come to
Okay.
education. I just knew it wasn't going to be as a marching band
Right.
instructor, right? Which is what the student teaching was all about. My daughter had graduated by the time I got the phone call to interview at IU.
Mhm.
And one of my friends called, Sylvia McNair,
Mhm.
called
Yeah,
and said, she was on a committee and would I ever be interested in teaching at an academic institution? And I was like, well, IU is very different from where I went to school.
yeah.
Um, she's like, yes, but we're looking for people. We think you would be great. She said, things move slow in academia. Could I put your name on the list? And I was like, sure, you could put my name on the list. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple of months later, they called, and I kind of delayed calling back because I had friends who had gone to IU, and they were like, I don't know. And so I thought about it. I thought about it, prayed about it, prayed about it, prayed about it, prayed about it, and prayed about it some more, because moving to the Midwest was huge coming from the East Coast, and I'm a real East Coast person. And when I came out here for the interview, I was sick as a dog, and I really said, Lord, if I get this job, it will be you, not me. So, and when they called about the job, I really felt like it was where I should be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came out, and I've been out here now since 2005. So
Why? It's been that long.
I cannot even believe it. I had black hair when I came out here.
Damn you,
I
Indiana.
know. Well, it
I
was
had to
beautiful.
confess.
I was making it black then.
Right. That's okay. That's all right. Listen, she is the whole thing right here. But under this
Hello.
thing,
I
child,
got some black hair upstairs. I could run get it.
shake and go. That's what we call it. I have to confess something.
What's that?
So you sent me an email about one of the
Uh-huh.
positions, and I never
Right.
responded to it.
I know.
I was scared as hell
Why?
because I was like, I can't teach. I'm not gonna teach. They're not gonna hire me. I'm not gonna. I saw it. I just didn't respond. Sorry.
But here's the mistake I think you and all of us make, and we all have to examine ourselves about this.
Mm-hmm.
We go to the end, right? All we need to do is be at the beginning.
Mm.
Because and this is me, like, and I'm not trying to be, like I told you, I'm not trying to be Maya Angelou wise here. Okay,
Yeah.
so just so that you know. I believe that when God opens a door for us, He has already equipped us with what we need,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
You have a whole lifetime of experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of us have a unique lifetime of experiences that we have lived. You have done master classes, you have taught,
Mm-hmm.
you have done all of that. Nobody is asking you. You look at a job description, right? And you see what is there. And sometimes, hey, Miss Paula, sometimes what we do, right, is talk ourselves out of things,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I've done this plenty of times. You look at everything on that description for everything we can't do,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And we say, that thing says this, that. I can't do those things. Other people look at those job descriptions and say, I can do this, I can do that. What I can't do here, I could learn.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody in teaching jobs comes unless they have been teaching for many, many years, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't come with all the information they have at the beginning of the time, right?
Right.
Your teaching vocabulary increases, right, as you teach,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully by the time you finish teaching, you're a stronger teacher than you were when you started.
Mm-hmm.
And you wouldn't come in, you know, like you don't come in teaching nursing to singers. You're a singer, right? That's what your
Yeah.
experience is. Nobody is asking you to come in and teach algebra.
Right. That would be an epic fail.
Well, y'all, so would mine, because please don't ask me to add 23 and 500 and whatever,
I can
because
count
then
my
I'll have to
points.
go to writing and all that other
Right.
stuff. 3 to the 3rd power. My daughter is still killing me because she asked me for a math assignment, when she was in 4th grade, and I gave her all the wrong information. All right. So I think we always like downplay the skills and the information that we have to talk ourselves out of
Mm-hmm.
things.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's not like Nicole, you're absolutely right. If somebody else can do it, so can you. You've been in this business a very long time. You've got
Yeah.
a lifetime of experience. You've studied, you have information. You are passing that information on to other people,
Yes.
you know? And what you don't know, you are smart enough to learn.
Yes, true. But I just saw that email and I had to apologize about that because I should have been like, I should have said something. I dodged that thing. Seriously.
Listen, and here's the other thing, it's like singing, right? We all know as singers, if you're going to keep singing, you got to keep studying, right?
Yes.
So if we're going to keep teaching, we keep learning.
It's true. It's true.
So,
Yeah. All right. All right.
and all of us that are teaching, right? When these positions come up,
Mm-hmm.
we are thinking about people that we think would be good fits for our faculty, and who would be like someone who could inspire students, and who,
Right.
right, right.
Exactly. I mean, I think admin is really where I want to go, but
Uh-huh.
it definitely scared me. But I'm
Of
better now.
course.
I'm better now.
Right. I understand. But sometimes we got to walk towards it,
Yeah. You're right.
you know?
And
Yeah.
somehow walking out on the stage with all these thousands of people is
Yes.
so much easier
Of course.
than answering your email.
I get it. I get it.
Mhm.
I get it.
But
All of us,
Mhm.
My thing is, first do no harm, right?
Right.
So
Mhm.
we don't want to harm anybody.
No.
I and this is just me. Everybody has a different teaching philosophy. For all the teachers who believe it's their job to tell people they will or will not have singing careers and
Mhm.
all of that, God bless them.
Right.
But
Mhm.
just not my thing.
I get
You
it.
know, I
Mhm.
believe life will tell you, you will tell you, because
Mhm.
if I can tell somebody that they're going to or not going to have a singing career, you know,
Yeah, there's no way you can do that. No.
no,
Mm-mm.
because there are too many people who have the story of someone told them they weren't going to have it and then they had this fabulous career,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know, or someone told them they were and they didn't,
And he didn't. Exactly.
you know.
Yeah.
So, it just,
Yeah. I
yeah.
understand. What are some of the greatest moments you've had on the stage? What are some of the greatest moments?
That's hard for me to
Mm,
like even think about, like to say,
yeah.
because I probably don't. I'm very much a once it's done, it's done,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
So I would have to get really, 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 really quiet and
Mhm. Think
like
about
go through the cobwebs
it.
of my life kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, uh, some of the, I don't know, like, I don't know.
Mhm.
I know some special moments. Like I could tell you special musical moments.
Please.
One of the coolest moments that I've ever had that there was hardly anybody in the hall for, but it was goose pimply moments. Um, Doing Mahler 8 at Carnegie Hall,
Mhm.
they were in that final chorus of, now I can't even think what the music is, but that final hushed chorus,
Mhm.
uh, where the chorus comes in a cappella,
Mhm.
right? And the way they had it, because there were so many people in the chorus in the old setup of Carnegie Hall, the first balcony was a set of boxes
Mm.
that surrounded the floor,
Mhm.
and the chorus was in that set of boxes. And Robert Shaw was conducting, and the sound was too present for him. And so he had the chorus that was seated in the boxes, Melody Moore Wagner, you know I love you too. Um,
Well.
he had the chorus turn around and face the wall. So their backs were to the chorus that was on the stage. So they couldn't even see him.
Mm.
And he gave the downbeat and everyone sang together. And oh my God, it was it was breathtaking to have an entire stage and people in the house sing together like that was one of the most riveting things ever. The other moment for me that was like incredibly beautiful is, it's for me it's always like these corporate moments
Mhm.
of music making, um, is in we were in I hate when these moments sound so, and then I hate
And
it to
I
sound
was
like
in
that.
Lincoln Center, and
Yes, I hate that. I
listen,
really
it is
do.
what it is, honey. You
It's
were
like,
there.
oh my
You were there with
God.
the
Yes,
people.
yes, Alan Morrison, that was with Bridget Hooks.
Oh,
Um,
Bridget,
yes, who
that's
was
different.
incredible, incredible singer. Lord have mercy. Um, in in Germany, in Thomaskirche, where
Mhm.
Bach wrote all of his
Mhm.
things. Yes, I told you I'm a Bach crazy woman. There was a gentleman, we were doing the B minor mass
Mhm.
there, and at the end of the performance, there was an old man who gave everyone a little white candle and a little sprig of Edelweiss, right?
Mhm.
And he walked to each of us and said, "In soli Dei gloria." I was done. Okay. I
Yes.
was done. Okay.
Mhm.
It was just so beautiful to be in that space and to have someone say that. I mean, it was, yeah. I mean, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
you know?
Yes.
Um, it is, I just feel like all of those um, moments like that, special people, like hearing hearing a voice, right? Heidi Grant Murphy singing Mater Gloriosa from the balcony. Like moments where you're like, oh my God, if I never hear that again, I could die right now.
Exactly.
Cynthia Hayman singing Summertime. Oh
Mhm.
my God. If I never hear that again, oh my God, how can anything be that beautiful? You
Beautiful.
know?
Mhm.
Um, just to stand on stage and sing Erbama Dich
Mm.
with a violinist who's so beautiful that you're like, Lord, is this my life? Like, how do I get to do this?
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
And to sit on stage with the Mahler Third Symphony playing,
Mhm. Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
or to sit on stage with the Beethoven Nine, even though, of course, everyone says all the mezzo is window dressing. But I'm sorry, she does have a part.
Listen, now you don't get no sympathy from me. From me, all
Listen,
that screaming and
oh,
hollering, you
please,
have to do.
please, please.
We're like, da, 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 da. You're looking over here like, are you even singing?
Of course I'm singing, honey. I'm looking beautiful in my dress. I'm singing.
Oh my goodness. Mm.
Oh, and let me just tell you something, Nicole. You'll never walk alone. In that Rothko Chapel was like a really special moment. I won't forget. There was a memorial service in the Rothko Chapel in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are just all these moments, right? When you look back over your life and it's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God,
Oh,
Yeah, by Beethoven for so many reasons, but
yes, bye.
Beethoven, Misa Solemnis, let me tell you,
Beast.
peace, 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 peace. I mean, there's just so many. I love music, right?
Mhm.
I love music, and it's not just classical music.
Right.
I love music. So I got to sing Strange Fruit with a friend of mine. And let me tell you something. I love music. And I think the thing that's great about music is that it speaks on so many levels and
Yeah.
in so many genres, right?
Yes.
So when I see, nothing pisses me off more than when people can sit through a different genre of music and not respect it.
Right.
I'm like, what the devil is wrong with you? Just because it's not 1 4 5 1 beam bum 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 with a symbol at the end does not mean that music shouldn't be respected.
Absolutely.
You know, it says more about you and your limited vision than it says about that music not being valid.
Yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
and that thing just drives me crazy when people try to diminish the power of other genres of music. It
Yeah.
really does.
I
So
agree.
yeah, okay,
I
I'm gonna step off that soapbox.
no, no. I agree because I did an interview today for one of the Portland publication, and he asked me about my essential 7 things,
Mhm.
and one of them was live opera and live hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, there's nothing like going to a hip hop concert, like an underground hip hop concert where everyone is like, not the mess that they play on the radio. I mean, like
Uh-huh.
real lyricists,
Mm-hmm.
that thing coming from your soul, every word,
Right.
every rhyme. Because I still have a dream of getting my 16 bars together,
All right.
rhyming something. But my husband says, please stop. You're embarrassing me. I just want to rock the mic like one time. You know what I mean?
I got you.
I have such a respect for people who can put those words together in that rhythm and then have the flow. You know, I mean, that's how I grew up. I grew up, in
Got you.
Philly, in the city, but I love
Got
everything.
you.
I have a
Yeah.
I have a passion for music, for art,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I love. There was a song years ago. It was a country western song, and I love how they can take a hook and they start that. It's like a Baptist minister. Like they'll tell that little tale in the beginning about the girl they went to school with, and by the time they get to the end, child, they have worked that thing. The girl they went to school with, they married her, she died, and blah, blah. And the girl they went to school, they're walking through the pearly gates with the girl they went to school with. I'm like, how did they tell that tale like that?
How did they tell that tale?
I mean, it's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
And then, I'll love how in a gospel song, like how someone who is really great
Mm-hmm.
can use their voice in such a way to tell. I love storytelling, right?
Mm-hmm. That's what
And
we do.
so,
That's what we do.
right, we talked about this. We're storytellers. And so, in every genre, when somebody can tell a story, if it's rhythmic in hip hop, if I can follow, like if I don't understand the
I
words, I'm
can
pretty much
all that.
sitting there like, I'm like,
I
okay,
can't do all that now. Not that.
lovely, thank you.
Give me the beat. Just give me the beat, right?
I know. I'm like, I'm with the beat. And my granddaughters are like, thank you, Mom. Sit down, please.
Of course, of course. That's what they do.
I know. I'm not, girl, I'm grooving. They said, first of all, you said grooving. Wrong. Okay.
Whatever. You're
Whatever.
right.
Exactly right. But yeah, yeah. So there you go.
So, what do people have questions? Because I could just keep talking to you all night. Russell, we need to get our 16 bars together, baby. What? 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 Yeah. Stephanie Blythe is on here. Yeah.
You're right, Stephanie. They do diminish what they don't understand. It's true.
Mhm. Daryl. Oh, Daryl, your singing of Moses Hogan was otherworldly. Everything. That Strange Fruit video. When I saw that, I was like, let me try to put it on down because I can't do it like that. You and Russell, boy, I tell you, that song. Y'all have
Listen,
questions?
Russell is like serious. I told him when I listened to his Knoxville, I was done. Done.
Done.
That is one of my all-time favorite pieces. Done.
Done.
Fabulous.
Well, I was mad at first when he told me he was going to sing it because he sang it for his recital at Wigmore.
Right.
And I
That's
was
what I saw. Right.
can you stay out of our rep, please? And then when he sang it for Wigmore, then he sang it for LA.
Hmm.
I was like, well, now there you go.
Well, the first time I heard that piece was on my sister's undergraduate recital. I was a kid, right?
Hmm.
And I remember just being in love with that piece.
Yeah.
And, there were certain moments in it that I came home from that recital, like trying to play on the piano, right? Couldn't play
Hmm.
well, but just kind of played through them. And years later, I was friends with one of her colleagues, John Ayler, who I
Yeah.
absolutely adore. And he told me then that, he had sung that piece, and I never thought about men singing that piece. And then when I heard
Hmm.
Russell sing that piece, I was like, oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Well, there it is right there. There
Oh
it
yeah,
is.
yeah. You're like, okay, fine, fine.
Yeah, fine.
Mhm.
There you
You're
go.
good. Like I said, I was mad for 2 seconds, and then I was like, there you
Yep,
go.
there it
That's
is.
good. Some
Yep.
and Alan, what premiere? What about premieres? Premieres, any premieres? Alan, Alan Morrison asked about premiere. Well, the Sky on Swings I thought was amazing.
Oh,
Please
thank
talk
you.
about that. Please talk about that opera.
That was a pretty incredible experience for so many reasons. Um, Talk about mountains to climb. Because at this point, truthfully, I never thought that I would be doing another opera. And
Yeah,
when they called about that,
yeah. Please tell us what it's about. Like, well, tell the
okay, so
audience.
it's about
Yeah.
two characters who have Alzheimer's. One is further has disease in a further advanced stage, and the other, the opera opens for her to discover that she has
Mm-hmm.
Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
My character has a more advanced case of it, and the opera really poses the question: does Alzheimer's kind of help you, not help you, but does the disease reveal who you are, or does the disease, it first of all tells the story of the disease from the viewpoint of the person who has it, not from the viewpoint of the caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one of the things that's unique about the story. And it what was interesting is that in learning about the disease and in talking about it and preparing for it, what we discovered from talking to the physicians is that if you've seen one case of Alzheimer's, you've seen one case of Alzheimer's because they're all
Mm-hmm.
very different.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they presented the idea to me, one of the things they said is that we're writing this opera. We'd really like for you to be a part of it. The other person that we're considering is that not that we're considering, the person we're going to ask is Frederica von Stade. Oh, well, of course I want to be a part of this,
Sign me up.
And I have to tell you, it was one of the most gratifying experiences of my entire life. It was really, really hard music. It was difficult music, but you and I talked about this earlier,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes with modern music, it's so hard that you spend so much time learning the music that you can forget about the story,
Yeah.
and you're so engrossed in just what the notes are. And the music is, for lack of a better term, gratuitously hard.
Yeah.
And this music never felt like that. The composer, Lembit Beecher, is brilliant. And the librettist, Hannah Moskowitz, is, her words were beautiful. His writing was beautiful. Now, it's hard, but you never felt like it was just hard for hard's sake. And he wrote the music specifically with our voices in mind, and was he was meticulous about how he wrote the score.
Mm-hmm.
And our director, Joanna Settle, the artistic team, just everybody, every person, the conductor, the orchestral, the room orchestra, everybody was great.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing, amazing experience. One of the hardest things I have to say about the score, though, it's very difficult to memorize text for someone who has Alzheimer's, and there are a lot of non sequiturs in there speech patterns.
Oh,
So
right.
that there's a whole sequence where she's trying to find something and she keeps repeating, I know, I know, I know, I know, and trying to get that sequence,
Mm-hmm.
very, very difficult. But there is a pattern. You have to discover it. But it's a really beautiful. It's a beautiful story about how even in the midst of disease, people are longing for connection
Mm-hmm.
and the connection that they find in the midst of the disease. So,
Yes.
yeah.
I encourage every time my people ask me about new works, I say Sky on Swings. You must do that. There's a several different reasons why you must do that. You must do it because of the subject matter, and you must do it because you never get to see women, two low voiced women who are mature women and artistry and age get up there and do the thing. And I go, and I'm so lucky to have seen it twice. I feel blessed to have seen it twice.
That was really kind of you to come see that twice. I gotta say, um, you get big points for always supporting everybody. Really, really, truthfully, that is not something to be taken for granted because we all know once you are on stage and working yourself, it takes a lot to get it together to have to go out and support other people too. So thank you for doing that. I really appreciate that.
You're very welcome. I mean, I yeah, I love it. I love to see my friends up there because I feel like it's me too.
I got it.
Russell, no, I'll be crying in the audience like I bursted the thing, like I really feel ownership over my people that I respect and people that I love in a way. So it's selfish to me too, I think a little bit, like I love the support, but I also feel, and I know what it's like to be on the other side and need that energy, need that.
Right.
But the audience loved it. I mean, they went crazy for you guys. And I just I
Well,
mean
I gotta say, it was a dream to work with her. I mean, she was incredible.
yeah.
There was, thank you, Michael. There was a moment where we had to get on the side of the stage and like sit on the side of the stage. And I actually have a little bit of fear of heights, right? So,
Oh, uh-huh.
yeah. So in rehearsal, they were like, and we want you to sit on the side of the stage. So Flicka gets on the side, she says, okay. And she goes to sit on the side of the stage. And then we want you to join her. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, because it's right. Your legs are hanging off the.
Yes, right.
Hmm.
And I was like,
Yeah.
Jesus, all right, okay, I'll be
Yeah,
there.
I know, I know. It was amazing. I hope that Portland does it. I hope that other companies do it. And just it just gets around because that's a important new work. Particularly in the time of Alzheimer's. And I mean, we're knowing the disease and understanding and trying to understand and the dynamics of the family and the children
Right.
coming in. We have to, those are the stories that we have to see on the stage.
It's an interesting story, right? It's a very relevant and current story.
It is.
And the fact, I did appreciate the fact that it wasn't for two 18-year-olds, right? And, you know, it's like, really?
Yes.
You intentionally did that? Thank you. You know?
That's right, because the kids at Opera Philadelphia Higher were Curtis students, right?
Right, right.
Mm-mm. I've done some old lady roles in my day as a young singer. I tell you that when I was a student at Curtis. Somebody said, how are you keeping your students motivated? Michelle Travado, how do you keep your students motivated during these COVID times?
Well, we're about to start the semester, so we're all about to
Mhm.
see how we can stay motivated. It's difficult. It's difficult for everybody
Mhm.
because some of them have recitals to do, and in this age where we're not really doing public performances,
Yeah.
it's going to be about how people are able to dig deep and find self motivation for their projects. And what
Mhm.
is your long range goal?
Yeah.
Not the short term. What are you looking to do when you leave here? And know that you're leaving here. It's not just for the jury. You know,
Yeah.
we're looking for a life plan. And And that's sort of what I'm always trying to get my students to see, that it's,
Mhm.
you're not just studying for the jury at the end of the semester, and
Yeah.
when you're at the university, sometimes I teach a lot of undergraduates. Sometimes we have a very driven towards this test
Mhm.
mentality,
Mhm.
you know? And so I really am trying to get them out of that. Like, see yourself as an artist, not as a student,
Yeah.
see,
Mhm.
like, what is your goal for yourself?
Mhm.
What is the sound you have for your voice, instead
Mhm.
of just making a noise,
Yeah.
you know? So that you're not coming in here week after week and we're not relearning the same thing,
Right. Right.
which is frustrating for you. And I can be as positive and all that as I want to be, and try to be the inspiration wagon, but some of this is
Mm.
mutual and mutual responsibility.
Yeah.
So it's all of that. We're working on all of that. So,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
Well, we have been talking for almost an hour and a half, and
Oh my goodness gracious.
I know I could. That means that we need to talk more often. That's it. It's just
Exactly.
like I'm gonna be like, no Zoom. We can't Zoom though, because
All right.
my brain is like, no more, no more. When people say,
I
"Hey,
know,
you want to
right?
Zoom?" I'm like, hell no. Oh yeah, sure, of course. Let's do it. Let's do it. Is there anything you want to leave us with, Marietta?
Listen, I know that everybody's doing the best they can. And, I'm just grateful and glad everybody stopped by. I appreciate it. It was so sweet to look over and see people's names like, oh my God.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. Really was great to spend time with you. And
Oh,
if I would leave anybody with anything, just know I am so grateful. I am incredibly grateful. And I know this is difficult. These times are difficult for
mhm.
for everybody. But hang in there. We are coming out on the other side of this. We really are. We're going to.
Exactly. We're coming
Yeah.
out bigger, stronger,
Yep.
everything, more spiritual and connected to one
Absolutely.
another and things. And just thank you. And like, you're never going to get rid of me now. I'm never going to ignore another email. I'm going to call you. I'm going to come
It's
coach
good.
with you because
It's cool.
as you know, I'll show up and be like,
That's all right. Come on. Your guy's gonna be here, so.
yes. I do know that somewhat. Yes, I do. But thank
Exactly.
you, everybody, for coming by as usual. Next week will be a little bit early with a fantastic panel of amazing women. I think we are at 3 o'clock next week because I have somebody that's coming from London. So I'm excited. Thank you all so much for the love. Thank you, Marietta SImpson. I love you.
I love you
And
back.
yes, and I will see y'all all on the other side, as they say, right? All right. Bye.